Well, the Wildcats get it done in Salt Lake City. I'm Jordan Hamm alongside Justin Spears, Arizona Wildcat football beat writer for Tucson.com, also ESPN Tucson. He does a little bit of everything. And Justin, I mean, this was a game where not only I think it was a little surprising that U of A came out with the win, but the way that they won that game.
Yeah.
They out-Utah'd Utah.
Yeah.
0 for 4 on fourth downs for the Utes. They were able to shut the door. And I think if they convert a couple of those early, this could be a really different game where Utah is in control, but U of A was able to really take care of that. What did you see out of the defense here throughout the entire night, the way they were really able to limit a very physical offense in the Utes?
I think this was Dwayne Aquina's best game as a play caller, and I think Dick Tomey would be very proud of this game because we saw a physical defense. I mean, much physical. I mean, way more physical than the previous three games. And, you know, that game against Kansas State, it seemed like they were kind of playing off a little bit. They weren't playing as aggressive. And then against Isaac Wilson, the true freshman quarterback who started in place of Cam Rising, you know, they brought Jacob Manu. They brought Tay Brown. The defensive ends were able to contain and corral Isaac Wilson. And, you know, Wilson tried to take off for a couple of runs, but they were able to kind of bottle him up. And Arizona outrushed Utah. They had more fourth down stops. I mean, Utah is one of the better teams in college football. And for Arizona to come in and completely outclass them, and they also cleaned up on penalties too. Arizona was one of the most penalized teams in college football heading into tonight. They only had 5 penalties today. And it wasn't a lot of silly penalties. I was worried that, you know, guys like Takario Davis, who likes to get chatty a little bit with receivers, going up against Dorian Singer. Sure. I was like, maybe Dorian Singer tries to bait Takario and some of these other guys into committing a silly penalty, but Arizona played a clean game, and they came in and they punched Utah in the face. And Utah does not lose here. Like, they're 34-3 since 2018 in this stadium, and then you can tack on loss number 4 since then because Arizona got it done.
The last time Arizona won in this stadium, it was 2014. I asked the players what life was like for them in 2014. They honestly couldn't really remember. What was life like for you in 2014?
Man. Well, I had earrings. I had jet lines in my hair.
That's what I met you. I met you with the jet lines.
I had the jet lines in my hair, and I thought I was the coolest guy ever. And I was just a sophomore going to the U of A. Yeah. You know, getting into journalism and covering Rich Rodriguez and Anu Solomon. And I can't believe it's been that long since Arizona has won in Salt Lake City. But, man, what a big win for the Wildcats. And, you know, after a couple of weeks of sitting on that loss to Kansas State, you know, like that loss to Kansas State, if Arizona just lost, you know, with a fighter's chance, right? If they lost by one possession, I don't think Arizona fans or people would be questioning Brent Brennan and this staff or the players that they have. And then to lose like that and to come back 2 weeks later, go back on the road and beat Utah, which is the biggest test of the year for Arizona thus far, for them to show that, man, this team has a lot of grit and a lot of fight. And it was akin to the team that we saw last year. And there was just a spirit to this team tonight that we have not seen all season long. And I think it's just the beginning.
I think it was also important that the first couple games we heard Brent Brennan talk about how at halftime he'd be like, don't worry about the score. Like, they were worried about the score at half. They weren't playing loose. This felt like a loose group. Yeah. And a group that was like, I'm going to go make a play. When the moment comes up, I'm going to go make a play. That's what Noah Fafita did. That's what Kean Burnett did. You know, so many players on the defense came up with huge opportunities. Tyler Loop, you know, let's focus on Tyler now. And the luxury of having a consistent kicker. And after the game, Brennan said, once we get over the 50, we're kind of like, all right, we might be in Tyler Loop territory. Let's see what we can do. You know, you've covered so many different teams. You've seen so many different kickers. How much of a luxury is it to have a guy like Tyler Loop that can just come in and get you points and clean things up if a drive doesn't go as planned?
Yeah, well, it was looking like Arizona's only offensive touchdown of the night was going to be Jeremiah Patterson in that touchdown in the red zone. And Tyler Loop just kept Arizona just a little bit ahead. And then the lead went from 1 possession to then 2 possessions. And, Arizona went into the fourth quarter, I think, up 16-3. And so you're up by a couple of touchdowns because of Tyler Loop, your kicker. You're feeling pretty good about yourselves. And, Tyler Loop had a 53-yarder, and then he had a 47-yarder and a 33-yarder. So he went for the hat trick tonight. Tried to go for a super long one, but just barely missed it. But not many people have that luxury, like you said. Ask Jed Fish, the former Arizona head coach who's now at Washington, how much he would love to have Tyler Loop on his team, because, that's pretty much how they lost to Rutgers. So having a guy like Tyler Loop is just so beneficial. And this was the most complete game that we've seen Arizona. And, we talk about Noah Fafita, we talk about Tetero McMillan, but I just think the supporting cast members of the Arizona football team really made tonight special, between Tyler Loop, Devin Hyatt with his big catch in the fourth quarter, Kean Burnett scoring his first ever touchdown as a Wildcat. It was a very special night for the people that weren't the faces of the program, guys like Noah Fafita and T-Mac.
And I think the offensive line. This was a group that has been banged up, and this was a game where I saw multiple times where, I was field level shooting, and just all of a sudden a Red Sea would split up and the running back would emerge, and they'd have some big chunk plays. So even on that front, as we were looking at the Big 12, obviously Arizona just takes down the number 10 team in the country. They have a tough Texas Tech team coming to Tucson next week. A lot of up, a lot of down in this conference. What do the Wildcats need to continue to do or avoid to make sure that they don't fall into a pitfall going up against the Red Raiders next week?
Still plenty of season left, right? This is only game 4, so you still got 8 more of these left before, postseason play. You can't let this get to your head. And even though it was a nice win for Arizona, like you said, Jordan, from top to bottom, this league is loaded. We went into tonight thinking Arizona wasn't going to win. In my score prediction on Tucson.com, I thought Arizona was going to lose by 2 touchdowns. I said 34-20 was going to be the final score, and they came out here and just stunned all of us. Arizona could be on the other side of being stunned, right? Even though there are opponents that Arizona should be favored against, Central Florida looks really good. Texas Tech is much better than we thought. BYU is much better than we thought. ASU, Kenny Dillingham in year 2, they look like a much better team. So there are no gimmies moving forward. And I think if Arizona can stay locked in, I think this team can accomplish a lot. But, man, it's going to take a little bit. Now, good news for Arizona, that loss to Kansas State is a non-conference game. Mm-hmm. So as of now, Arizona is undefeated in Big 12 play. And the expanded college football playoff, if you win the Big 12, then you get a seat at the big table, contending for a national championship. Arizona has a lot of work to do before we can even think about that, but I think they're off on the right foot.
And they made a massive stride here tonight, beating Utah at Rice-Eccles 23-10. For Justin Spears, I'm Jordan Hamm here in Salt Lake City. Make sure to keep it Sports 360 AZ for all of your college football news.